Welcome back to WagerTalk TV. I'm Andrew McInnis, joined by Dave Cokin. This is the KBO betting show. Picks for Friday morning, early Friday morning here. Dave, how was your morning of KBO action?
Well, I ended up with only one play because I got a rain out in what was actually the marquee matchup of the day. But I did win, squeezed out a win in the one play I had, so it's going pretty well. And we'll see if we can keep it going tonight. I have one play. I have some other opinions, which I'll get to in the show, but only made one best bet selection. And before we talk about your KBO, because I know you had a good morning, we've got an announcement to make regarding the NHL and something we'll be doing next week, which, we're going to try and get a jump on the hockey. Let's put it that way.
Definitely. So, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing just betting strategies in the NHL. It'll be myself, the Prez, of course, Dave Cokin, and Carmine Bianco. So it's a quality crew, and won't be as much picks and predictions for a few weeks, and more so just betting strategies. And to me, I think that's just as important. Give people the ability to make their own opinions. It was a good morning for me, Dave, as well. We talked off air. I was involved in that Dinos game. Obviously, it sucks to see that happen, but not even just when you have a bet on a game, but when it's a good game like that. It was a marquee matchup, like you said, would have been the game of the night or game of the morning for us. But despite the fact, I had the KT Wiz as a winner, and notable to mention, I think it was I got the over 9.5 in the Samsung Doosan game, closed at 10.5 or 11. So if you got that early, you cashed a ticket on the over. If you got that late, unfortunately, you came up a little bit short. So I was happy to jump on that earlier. You were on that as well, weren't you, Dave?
I don't know what you said. You're coming through very choppy.
I was just talking about the Samsung over there, how it moved from 9.5 to about 10.5. Sorry to anybody out there about the connection. From my end, we're not looking at it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're saying. You're just coming through completely chopped up.
I'm not sure what to really do here. Can you hear me now at all, Dave?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? We'll get
whatever you said was regarding the total, and that's why you gotta get in on those best numbers when they're out there. The worst you should do is push the game, and hopefully you got a win on it. Oddball game too, because you got 3 runs at the top of the first inning, 2 of which were unearned. There was a big error, and they never scored again. So it somehow got over, and take the rewards and when you find them and enjoy them, because that's a game that could have stayed under.
Definitely. And before we get started, I just want to mention again, you see the scrolling banner in the bottom there. My UFC plays I've been talking about. Pretty excited. I don't do too many 5% plays in the UFC, so really like this spot. Circled a good spot here and got on it early in the week at a pretty good price. So before the number moves, hop on that 5% UFC play. 6-1 my last 7 best bets. Enough promo stuff, though. We'll get right into the picks. Samsung Lions, Kia Tigers. Also notable to mention, Dave's been grinding it out. You've been getting the job done in KBO, so I don't want to just promote myself. So just so nobody thinks I'm just promoting myself at all. You've definitely been doing really well, and we were talking off air. You got some golf going right now, so I hope people took advantage of your golf plays as well, Dave. Samsung Lions, Kia Tigers. Well, you know what? We didn't get the marquee pitching matchup that we wanted this morning, but we're now going to see a pretty good one here in this matchup. Dave, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, it's Buchanan and Gagnon. Buchanan's been pretty good lately. He's always going to give up his share of hits, but last 26 and 2/3 innings over his last 4 starts, he's given up 21 hits, only 3 runs, 5 walks, 16 strikeouts. So he's pitching his best ball of the season. His overall numbers are still kind of sketchy. The FIP is right near 5, which is not great by any means. And he's had some good luck on batting average on balls in play, 244, which is about 40 to 50 points better than the norm. So he's been a little fortunate. I would say Gagnon's in better form, and I would give him the edge here. If you're looking at the analytics, it's a pretty clear edge for Gagnon. Now, he did have a difficult time with Samsung, the first start against them earlier this year, but that was real early in the season. Gagnon has pitched a lot better ball lately 4 out of his last 5 starts have been quality starts. Let's see what the line's doing on this game, if I can get my screen up here. You got this line's going way up. Wow. I thought Kia was the side at minus 140 or thereabouts where it opened, but it has really shot up. You're looking at minus 160, minus 170. I think the lowest is minus 151. That's at Superbook though, and they're always lower because they're offering the dime lines. So you kind of missed. If you like Kia, you kind of missed the optimum number in this game. But that's the side I would lean to here.
I would agree. We're seeing 2 good pitchers, but and I wanted to mention as well, Dave Buchanan, only 2 poor outings really on the year so far, and they've both been against pretty quality teams in LG and NC. Coming off a pretty solid outing versus KT, pitching 6 2/3, only 2 earned runs. But we talked about Gagnon yesterday, and I really think that he's still the better guy here, but we're back in the better team as well. We're seeing a team right now that's just scoring runs. I mean, we saw them put up 7 runs in 2 games out of that series. And then against KT, we saw them put up 8 runs in 1 game and 10 runs in the next. A lot of people talk about riding the hot, fading the cold. That's an expression that Teddy Covers likes to use. And I think if we're using that expression here quite a bit, Kia would be the team to look at with a team that's scoring runs right now and 2 quality pitchers on the mound. So, again, I apologize if there's any blurriness or you can't hear me. But anyway, I do like Kia. And like Dave said, the number has kind of gone away there. And Dave, when I first looked at this number as an 8.5 total, I thought about what you said earlier in the season about, being a little bit worrisome with these 8.5s, but something kind of tells me we could just see an absolute dynamite pitchers duel here. And I wouldn't be too surprised if I saw that.
There's no question, but unless it's an elite matchup like we had potentially with the NC Dinos game this morning, which got rained out, I'm going to have to get a 9 to play unders and feel comfortable about it. I mean, I might have to force an 8.5 on occasion, but I'm generally speaking not going to go 8.5 unless it's a real elite matchup. And I don't put this one in that category. Might be on the Gagnon side, but I don't have that faith in Buchanan. His metrics just aren't that good. And, Kia could score a bunch of runs here. We'll see.
Yeah, notable to mention as well, the first 5 innings total is 4.5. So if you're more comfortable knowing the pitchers you're going to get, maybe go ahead and look at that first half under. But should be a great game. I think we missed the number on Kia there. It's definitely gone up quite a bit. Shop around with your several books you should have and see which number you should get. Hanwha Eagles, NC Dinos.
Oh boy.
Well, let's take a second here because Dave, you know how I've been telling you about the different alternate lines, right? This is actually a little bit of spread drama. Some baseball spread drama happened here in the end of this game because it was a margin. If you had the minus 2.5, you lost. You definitely didn't come out on top, and that's the way it goes, and that's the beauty of it. I saw somebody on Twitter, and no joke, Dave, he laid plus 4.5, minus 180 with the Hanwha Eagles. And this is a team they're gonna battle, they're gonna fight, but it just shocks me and it makes me kind of laugh when you see them score 7 runs in a game and still not come out, on top, right? That has to be frustrating. You have finally a good game, scoring wise, and then the pitching lets you down. So before I throw it to you, I'm going to just reiterate what I've been talking about all season. And Twitter has a brand new feature for mobile where you can do a little bit of audio recordings, and then it'll just do a little bit of a, type out a little message, do an audio recording. And I right when I saw the odds come out, I told everybody that I will be on the NC Dinos team total over here at a pretty good number. I got 6.5 is what I got. And, I thought that would be a pretty good number here. I mean, we have Koo on the mound. This is pretty much the best pitcher on the best team against a so-so pitcher on a horrible team. The equation definitely adds up, but we're seeing a ridiculous minus 400, minus 420 on the money line for this team. And I think that's the reason, Dave, why you were saying it's going to be tough to even be involved in Hanwha Eagles games because you don't know how to find some good spots to really bet.
This is as big as it'll get, though, because they're facing the best pitcher in the league here, and they've got a relief pitcher making his first start in Kim. He's been working exclusively out of the pen, so he's not going to be out there very long. And just here's how bad things are for Hanwha. I mean, it's going to be tough enough in this series, but on top of that, now they have to face Ko because the game got rained out this morning.
Yeah.
So this poor team has to go up against the best pitcher in the league, who they figured to avoid in this series, which might have given them a shot. It's basically impossible to make a case for the Eagles here, other than if you like lottery tickets, I guess you can take a shot. As far as Kim goes, he has actually pitched 4 1/3 innings against NC out of the bullpen. 2 hits, 2 runs, a couple of walks, 4 strikeouts. But you got to figure he's no more than 2 to 3 innings tops here. So you're going to see a lot of Eagles bullpen. And unless Koo has an uncharacteristically bad game, this is a walk in the park for the Dinos.
That was my problem, Dave, because, looking at Kim's stats, they're not too bad. The general generic stuff you look at, but he struggles to get strikeouts. And against a team like this, if you're not, making batters swing and miss, you're going to have a tough time. In general, you're going to be out of the game pretty early, but, his numbers aren't horrible though, eh?
Yeah, they are. Because he's got 18 2/3 innings. He's got 16 walks.
Yeah.
To go with 16 hits. That's pretty bad. And it shows in the FIP, which is in the mid-6s. It's just and on top of that, the Dinos actually got the day off, this morning off, so they'll be rested coming into this game. I don't know what to do with it. I honestly don't know what to do with it. I mean, I'm certainly not going to play the money line. You can't even find anything to parlay with them that'll get you a decent return. I guess you go alternate run line if you're looking for something. But
what about the team total, Love?
That actually makes the most sense. You're right.
Quick shout out here to Cortland Williams, Hip Hop Memes. I saw him in there putting quite a bit of information, so good to see everybody kind of putting some stats in there. Chris WagerTalk says, love the phrase spread drama. Yeah, I love using that, and it's kind of funny to use that in baseball. Anthony Kanata, Mike, King Crab as usual, Robert. Appreciate you guys tuning in just like usual. Just want to get a few name drops out there. Next matchup here, Doosan Bears, LG Twins. I talked about the Doosan Bears out the gate, and looking at this team, look, this is a team right here where they had a couple games they struggled in a row, and then it's just right away 7 runs. And now in this matchup here, the way I looked at it, gut instinct for me read over. Looking at these two guys that are heading the mound, Shaw and Lee, it's important to mention as well. Some people might not find it that interesting, but these two teams actually share a home field. So
yeah,
it's kind of like the Clippers and the Lakers. I mean, you can call it home ice or home court advantage or home field advantage, but typically it might just be the fans. But right now with no fans, there shouldn't be really any difference besides, top of the order and bottom of the order, that kind of thing. But looking at this one here, at this full game total, Dave, I'm fully comfortable looking at the over 10, also seeing what the LG Twins have been capable of. They've been slowed down. They've been putting up runs. They're looking healthier now. And throughout their lineup, they're making contact with the ball. So I like this over here, Dave.
I actually lean the other way. It's not going to be a bet for me. I want to make that clear. So the disagreement I have would be very minor. But, and you did mention this yesterday, this is the home park for the Bears, even though they're the road team. So their home-road splits, you have to actually look at the home splits here because it is, they're just wearing the road uniforms here. Lee has been so-so, but not terrible. His control's a bit of an issue. He has pitched well earlier this year against LG, 6 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 unearned runs in that game. But he is off his worst start of the year. He was not good his last time out for Doosan, and their bullpen is it's not really good. As far as the other side goes, you mentioned they're getting healthier. That is absolutely the case. Shaw's on the mound, and he's been in good form recently. He's had 3 straight quality starts. His one performance against Doosan was excellent. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. So it's a mild disagreement for me, Andrew. Nothing big, but I would lean under here. But again, I'm not betting it, so take that for what it's worth.
And on the side here, I think it'll be a close game here, but at this price, Dave, like most people do, I go into this before actually looking at the odds that were provided, creating my own numbers, and I thought this was a tad bit cheap for the LG Twins, honestly, for the form that they're in recently. I thought it was a tad cheap for them.
I don't disagree with that. I was a little surprised when I saw this number, but then I made my number, and it came out pretty close to the same thing. It had, or at least to where it is right now. It's up to minus 135, minus 140. I think that's the right price on the game where it is now. Minus 120, I would agree, was a little bit of a bargain.
Hey, Omar, we got Paul in here. Ron giving out their picks. Ron says under in Bears. Pitcher's looking pretty good from last year. Yeah, everybody's loving the KBO. Good to see. SK Wyverns, Kiwoom Heroes. What I like about today is that we're seeing some pretty good matchups. If we're seeing good pitchers, we're seeing good pitchers against good pitchers and so-so pitchers against so-so pitchers, so on and so forth. I'll tell you what my instant gut reaction was for this, and just what I was looking right away. I like the plus 130 edge for SK, and I actually right away hopped on the first 5 innings plus a half. I was unimpressed with Kiwoom versus Lotte. Looking at what the numbers that they put up over their past couple of games. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that Lotte should be getting stomped by every team, but Kiwoom, 3 runs in one game, 4 runs the next. And then in their game against NC, it was a little bit sloppy on both sides, but to a large scale, dating back to even their series against Samsung, I definitely wouldn't call them in good form whatsoever. So I think this is a quality underdog spot for SK. And if I do recall, you might have said a couple of shows ago, maybe even yesterday, you're more comfortable back in the SK Wyverns from the underdog role. So I'm comfortable here taking them. I like Moon. I think Moon's actually not bad. He's coming off a pretty decent outing. He's not hasn't been outstanding, but he pitched 7 1/3 innings. 2 earned runs. That's what I like. I like to see guys going deep. I like to see management having faith in a guy staying in, and I'm going to be monitoring Moon to see how he does for the next couple of weeks, because he might be a bet-on guy for me, Dave.
Yeah, his peripherals are a lot better than his base stats. 1 and 3, 4 point whatever. That doesn't get anybody excited. But then you look a little beyond that, and you see the one real standout is the walks to strikeouts. 40 innings, 8 walks, 41 strikeouts. So then you look at some other stuff, and you see that he's been a little bit unfortunate with batting average and balls in play. He's actually in good form right now. He's had 3 straight quality starts. One downer, this lineup ripped him earlier in the season. 4 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 6 runs. 4 of those were earned. And he actually had some control problems in that game. The flip side of it is Han, who also had his problems against SK. Gave up 5 runs in 5 innings in an earlier start against them. But there are some similarities to Han with Moon. Han's a pretty good control guy. Not quite as good as Moon, but in the same ballpark. 10 walks, 28 strikeouts. He's had a lot of bad luck on batting average and balls in play. 370, that number for the season. So you would think there's some positive regression due for both these pitchers. The Wyverns don't have much offense. They're the second worst offensive team in the league. 38 games in, only 149 runs. That's less than 4 runs per game, which in KBO is a pretty anemic offense. So I think that there's a good chance Han will control them to some extent tonight. Kiwoom, you never know. Their offense is actually pretty good. Their defense, their pitching is not good, but at least they got some positive things going this week. They've had a good week so far. They won a couple of games in a row. And I don't disagree with them being the favorite here. I think what I said about the Wyverns is that I would only look at them as underdogs. I don't want them as a favorite, basically under any conditions, unless they're playing Hanwha or something, because they're 12 and 26, and teams like that don't make good favorites. I tend to think this could be a game where the pitchers have a little bit of an edge tonight. And looking at the total of the game, let's just see what's happening with the number there. Looks like it's 9.5 firm across the board. Now, there was a little bit of 10 out there earlier, but that seems to have vanished. I think 9.5 is the price that's going to sit there until game time.
Yeah, we'll see where that number goes, but I would tend to agree with you. Both these guys are putting up pretty good numbers, and I think that everybody in the chat and anyone watching, I can definitely appreciate the way you break down these pitchers, Dave. So hats off to you. I'm taking a look at these guys, but I like the way that you look at it, and similarities that I would say for something that I do is you might not look at a pitcher and look at some of these basic stats, and you might not find some of the really, really good stuff until you look a little bit deeper. And I find that you're doing that quite a bit. And that's something that I've noticed about you for a little while. And it's great because you see some hidden stats that are very good to use when making a wager.
Oh, just want to mention this because Jake mentioned something in the chat. A non-WagerTalk play, I guess, like a bet they like but aren't giving to their clients. Sort of accurate. I give out everything I bet. Everything. Okay? So if it's a bet for me, I give it out. I just don't bet that many games. But I have opinions on basically every game. We all do. So I'll give out the opinions here. And sometimes you can figure out what the selections are by how strong I talk about it. But as I don't sell many picks, because I don't bet many games, I don't generally like to give away the store. And again, I'm only making one bet on the Friday schedule. So maybe you figured out what it is. Maybe you didn't. But if you want to be sure, spend the $9, get the game. It's not very expensive, and the results have been pretty good. And that's the thing. We're not pricing these at a level where if it's like a $50 investment for a game, it's pretty substantial. But $9, that's not too bad.
Definitely. And the way I see it is, especially with the puck time show I do during the hockey season, if someone's tuning into the show, if you guys notice, it's not like we're leaving out a game.
No, talk every game.
Once said that hey Andrew, I can't talk about this game. We're talking about every game. So I get it. I get what they're saying in the chat box. They want us to single out a best bet, but that's kind of what the client picks are as our best bets. But Jake, to give you some reference, there's been times where the picks that I haven't given out and given out on this show have done better than the picks that I've given out to clients. And obviously vice versa sometimes. So there's a reason why I thank you guys for watching, and there's a reason why it's good to be watching the show, because you're getting our opinions pretty much on every single game, obviously. So Lotte Giants, KT Wiz, Despagne back at it in the win column for me, Dave. Happy to see it. Nothing crazy pretty, but I was happy to see a 5-3 win over SK, and now they're back at it. Interesting note here. Just a kind of a funny thing to mention, KT is going back-to-back against pitchers named Park. Took care of one Park. We'll see how they do against the next one. I think Bay's actually been pretty good. He's been a likable guy and someone to back, and I think the price definitely reflects that. So Park for the Giants, coming off 5 innings pitched, 5 earned runs on 7 hits. He's not a guy I'm interested in looking at. Lotte right now is not really a team I'm looking at backing, and KT is such a up and down team. It's hilarious to watch. They will completely screw you over for 2 or 3 straight days, and then they'll catch fire and get her going. And that's why it's a team that I would never back long term. I would never make a future with, and I would never bet in a series, a playoff series or anything like that. But they're going to have some winnable opportunities, and I think this number is moving quite a bit here, Dave. Looking to the side here, I still lean to KT. Looking at the pitching matchup here. But one thing I'm more impressed with is that their ability to hold on to games. They haven't really blown leads as much these days. They're
little better lately.
Yeah,
little better lately.
Nothing.
This is a really tough game for a variety of reasons. The Wiz have actually won 3 in a row now, which for a team that's 6 games under 500 means you can argue they're playing their best ball of the season. They've got the edge of the mountain with Bay against Park. It's a clear edge. It's I would say it's a solid 1-run edge. And Bay already has a very good performance against this opponent. And Park is pitching really lousy ball. He's had only 1 quality start all year. His 2 starts against the KT, one was okay, the other was bad. But the problem is the Giants own this team. They just own him. And it's sometimes it's just you can't figure out why, because the teams are pretty close in terms of how they match up, but one team just always seems to get the best of the other. And that's the thing that I caught my eye here. It's like, geez, you know how to beat these guys. And so as much as I look at the matchup and say this is not a bad spot for the Wiz, and the price has dropped, by the way. It's down to a very reasonable 135. I got to see this team win a game against them first. And I call it straight. I just don't trust the Wiz. They're not a very good team. I prefer them in the underdog role. I'm not getting that, but I don't want the Giants in this matchup because I think Bay has a decided advantage over Park as far as the pitching goes.
Good stuff. Yeah, no, I'd agree. And like you said, the price is dropping and getting better, which honestly makes me a little more comfortable to take them. But like you said, as much as sports bettors, it's something that you might not want to always recognize. When you see a team struggling against one specific team, you have to recognize it and have to look at it.
Oh boy,
I get what you're saying. I mean,
it's kind of like
look at it in the NHL, the Rangers and Hurricanes.
I'll use Major League Baseball, the Twins and the Yankees. I mean, this is going on 2 decades. The Twins can't beat the Yankees. They just can't beat them. It's psychologically they're screwed when they play this team. It's like they're already behind before the game starts. And those have been some good Twins teams in there. They just can't beat the Yankees. It sometimes it runs like that, and this might be one of those rivalries where it's running like that in KBO.
I'll give a pick out right now in another sport for anybody watching this show right now. The Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Rangers are matching up in hockey in the playoffs. We have seen, I believe, it's 8 or 9 straight for the New York Rangers over the Carolina Hurricanes, courtesy of Ralph Michaels, the stat man. Is unbelievable the work he does. The average price favoring the Carolina Hurricanes has been minus 188, and they have lost, I believe, 8 or 9 straight to the New York Rangers. The Rangers own this team. They are healthy, and they have solid goaltending. So, I mean, hey, this is a KBO show, but there's a series. If you like a series pick, you can get plus 130 at a lot of shops still for the New York Rangers. So that's something that I like. And yeah, I mean, Lotte, you know, it'd be funny if we're talking about this though, and KT ends up like a 6 spot up on them. But you know, I hear you. I mean, they need to see if they can prove it to us. They can beat this team. I'm going to continue to monitor Bay because he's going to be a guy, like I referenced earlier with another pitcher, that I'm going to be looking to back.
Yeah,
so
I think
Bay and Moon are guys that I'm going to look to back for these younger guys, and hopefully can get the job done with them. So that does it for our show for today. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time for our last show of the week for Saturday's games. And hopefully maybe I'll be tweeting out or on my WagerTalk profile on the weekend. We'll get some free plays up because obviously we don't do a show on the weekend. Dave and I get a little rest for 2 days. So that does it for the show, guys. Appreciate it.
There's no rest for us. And by the way, again, in case you missed the top of the show, we're going to start taping NHL next week to kind of give you a primer for the playoffs. And we hope you'll watch because it's going to be a really good crew. You got the 2 guys north of the border, 3 guys north of the border. I'm the only American.
Yeah,
I am.
The Italian Canadian.
Yes. Carmine, the Prez, who's a diehard Maple Leafs fan, which means his team's about to get screwed again because they suck. We'll give him a terrible time on that. Andrew's from Nova Scotia, and I think you guys will really like the show. If you're not into the NHL, you know it's going to be very exciting, and it might be something you want to consider getting involved in. Stanley Cup playoffs are incredible. I don't think there's a better postseason in any sport than the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we'll try and impart some knowledge next week and try and get you set for the playoffs. It should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it as well, Dave. And like you said, it's competitive league, competitive playoffs. Just look at what happened to the St. Louis Blues last year. Unbelievable stuff. Last place.
Oh, unbelievable. Yes.
And, you know, I'm not sure if you're the kind of guy that, you know, cheers on people from hometowns or whatever, but obviously, you know, I don't have a professional hockey team.
Well, yeah, I root for the Golden Knights.
Yeah, so we cheer. So a lot of us here, we cheer on Canadian teams, Leafs, you know, Habs, Senators, a few Bruins fans here.
I was a Bruins fan growing up, but now I'm a Golden Knights fan.
My father's a Bruins fan, but the Pittsburgh Penguins are a big team here, and you can guess why for Sidney Crosby. You know, just over, you know, 20-minute drive from my house in Cole Harbor. And they're going up against my team, the Montreal Canadiens, which I think is going to be a pretty good series, a pretty competitive series, a healthy, rested Carey Price. So I'm kind of torn here. Obviously, I'm going to cheer for my team. At the same time, though, I'm cheering on Sid the Kid as well, the hometown guy.
I'll give you one quick tip, and I don't know if I'll be right or not on this, but I believe the long layoff and heading right into big games, I believe that's going to favor teams with a lot of experience. I think they will handle it better than the very youthful teams. So you want a team that's they're not a great team by any means, but the Minnesota Wild could be very interesting in the playoffs because they've got a veteran cast, and I think that might be a plus for them, at least early on in the playoffs. I think that'll leave it off as things go on. But I would not be surprised if the Wild might be a first-round surprise because of all the veterans on that team. Anyway, by the way, we'll figure this out in the next few days, but I think we should put up an over and under on how many times Carmine insults the Prez Maple Leafs on next week's show. I think it's got to be a high number.
If we're going to do that, we have to do an over-under for the amount of times that Prez makes fun of where I'm from, tries to mess with you, and calls Carmine bald. So we got a couple over-unders to get over with here. But a lot of fun. Good show here. 30 minutes of action. The chat box was pretty alive today. Got some picks for you guys in the KBO. Dave's doing well. Coming off a good morning for myself as well. We got golf going on. My UFC play on Saturday. Feeling pretty good, guys. Enjoy your nights. Good luck with your wagers. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Somebody